everybody. Welcome to the world of SQL and databases. My name is Audrey and I will be your professor for this class. In this week before the class actually started, I wanted you to watch this video for two reasons, really. First, you can get to know me a little bit more. Just because we don't have the face-to-face time in this pandemic world that we're living in right now. And I don't want to spend a lot of time in class doing these kind of things. Because we have a lot of content to get through and the winter quarter is really short. I also wanted to give you a little bit of a background on my own teaching philosophy for this class and how that drives some of the decisions of how I'm organizing the class and how I want to mold this community. Okay, so about me. My last name is Kine-se-kab. Most people butcher it really badly. It is Japanese and German. And so I do prefer to just be called Audrey. If you don't feel comfortable with being on a first name basis with professors, you can say Professor Kine-se-kab. I am a PhD, which means that I haven't quite finished my dissertation yet, so I've not earned the doctor. Soon to be changed, I hope. I am a student here at SPU in the Industrial Organizational Psychology department. Being from the psychology department means that I've been kind of groomed in a different sort of culture than what you'll find with a lot of your other business professors. MBA students are pretty different from psychology students. So you'll find that I tend to be probably a little bit more casual than a lot of the business professors are. And my experience is a little bit more on the HR side of businesses. And so if we're talking about examples that we're just coming up with off the top of the head, that's going to be where I lean. My current workplace outside of SPU is in biotech. I work at Seattle Genetics, and we do research for cancer. And so I work in the HR data side there. I also have experience in the entertainment industry and some other places. And my other job experience that's relevant to you is that I'm also, I've previously adjuncted here at SPU, and I'm here part-time as a professor for business. And so I don't necessarily know all of the ins and outs of the school policies as it applies to students. And especially those of other departments, other degrees and undergrads. So I'm not the one to come to for advising or anything relating to policy type stuff. What I am known for though, and what I do know is stats and data. I am kind of the stats / geeky guru in the IO department. So I'm the one that would, teach a research design by talking about Harry Potter houses and things like that. I'm also big on the social justice front. I am very liberal, and so you'll see that that drives a lot of my teaching decisions, especially around this quarter. The last thing I thought might be relevant about me is why I decided to take this class myself, considering I am from the psychology department rather than the business school. And I'll be asking you to answer this question as well as part of the first discussion post for this class. And so I have a cousin that worked for Twitter, and I asked her about what kind of programs do I need to know as someone who's interested in doing data analytics and doing mostly stat analyses and research design. And she said that SQL was actually one of the major prerequisites because nobody in the company is like assigned to deliver your data to you. So while I am definitely not interested in being a database admin or anything like that, these skills are helpful for me to work in a company that kind of formulates itself as a small company, even something like Twitter that is not a small company, that doesn't have a specialist that will pull the data for you. So you'll find that the tools and skills in this class will serve you well in a wide variety of jobs that may be surprising. So yeah, so that's why I took this class and why I am interested in things across the entire data spectrum, a little bit more than what you might expect from just a stats perspective that we often get in the psychology department. So I'll be really interested to hear about why you have chosen to take this class, what you think you're going to be doing with it, and your backgrounds. All right, so the teaching philosophy of this class, obviously the world right now is in a particular situation. It's a mess. Even with the vaccine starting to be distributed, there's a lot going on, and it's going to continue to be stressful throughout this quarter. And not only real-time stressful, but, and I don't know about you, but I don't really have any spoons left from 2020. Like, I am exhausted and a little burnt out from just all the things. And I know that's been a common story across most students. We didn't opt for the online education system. We pay a lot of money to have good learning environments in the classrooms, but you might not have the setups in your house to really get what you were paying for when you thought you're going to a brick and mortar school. You might be in a different time zone. You might be working in a living room instead of a classroom. You might have trouble focusing from the work at home environment. That's definitely something that I've struggled with a lot this year. And all of these are just more sources of stress to add into your normal stressful grad school experience. I've also heard from students around the world that the online classrooms seem to be more stressful and filled with busy work in a way that exceeds the normal classroom experience. Whether that's true and that there's actually more work going on, or if it's just a perception because of all the stress and everything else going on, the impacts are definitely real on students, and I want to be very mindful of that. Then on top of COVID and being at home and all of these things, we have a number of other longstanding issues such as racial inequities that have come to the forefront of general awareness. And these have, of course, been a major source of stress for people. Those who experience these, obviously, and those who are discussing these topics and often learning things from the people from these groups. And now those groups are having to teach people or being asked to do extra work. So there's a lot going on. The only good thing that's been coming from that is that there's been more resources for teachers and more active thinking and distribution of knowledge about how to handle these in the classroom. So I'm trying to utilize some of this thinking in how to design this class. So the guiding principles that lead my teaching is, first, I want to make sure that you are put in a learning orientation instead of a performing orientation. So I don't want you to be focused on memorizing things for exams and, getting the A through, cramming and showing off your knowledge. I want to reduce that stress while not taking away the tools meant for your learning. So even though this class is based off of the class that's usually taught by Ryan Labrie, I've decreased the emphasis on the exam and made it open book. So you have a little bit more emphasis on engagement and assignments instead. Also for stress reduction, I'm not going to be using the pandemic itself as an example when explaining things, although if a student brings it up, I will run with it. But instead, my examples are more likely to be things that are relevant to your particular future or current jobs, academic life, or fun, geeky stuff, because why not? I'm absolutely not trying to ignore the situation, but I do hope that the time we spend together will help you focus in and kind of forget some of the other stressors in your life right now. However, I will address the other major topic of 2020, which is the systematic oppression of Black people in America and related social inequities, such as the intersection with classism and gender and other things. So some of the ways that I've approached this class is to be mindful of these in that they're built into academia and in data. Unfortunately, this class isn't the type that's focused on these topics, and so this is like a very lightweight addressing of them. Although we can deep dive into these a little bit more if that's a class interest, but it's at least a start. So one of the ways that I've chosen to address this is to not require you to purchase a textbook for the class. I'm trying to use open source resources, and this is an attempt to decolonize the class because classism is a major thing when you're thinking about the cost for school, and these classes are already expensive. And the textbooks from this class isn't one that you're going to put on your bookshelf in your office for the next 5 years. The takeaways from the class are meant to be more of a jumping off point. Like SQL hasn't changed really in the last 20 years, but the probability that you're going to need these fundamental aspects of data warehousing stuff is kind of light. If you do, there's better textbooks that are more focused on the specific thing that you need. Likewise, most people learn how to use Access as the jumping off point for their database careers, but they don't actually use Access in workplaces. So it's not really something that you'll need. The other part of that is that I don't think I even have the mental bandwidth to deal with long-winded textbooks right now. And so I'm trying to make things a little bit more digestible. And I don't want to assign you long readings that most of the students aren't going to read anyways. Let's be real. So we're going to do away with that kind of stuff. And instead I'm using an open source textbook that's written by a woman and then co-written by an Asian American man. So we're going that direction instead. Secondly, in the weekly discussion topics, you'll be looking for articles about different topics in database management. Usually that assignment is to look for new developments, but I also encourage you to find things that are related to DEI and other concerns. There's a surprisingly large amount of bias in the data world, and I would love to see people grapple with some of these topics this quarter in those posts. And there'll be other things that I do throughout the quarter, and if I do ask that if I mess up or if you have good ideas of how to do better with these things, absolutely bring them up. I'm trying, but I'm not perfect. So that any guidance or ideas and inspiration from you would be very well received. And on that note, the last big thing for me is just to be kind to each other and supportive of each other throughout this quarter. One of the ways that I will do that for you is that I promise that I will believe you. If you miss class and you say that you have internet troubles, if you are sick, you have sick family members, any of those things, I will believe you. I'm not going to give you a hard time about those kind of things. I will trust you, and I hope that you'll be able to trust me and extend the benefit of the doubt and a purity of intentions back to me. You're all adults, so I'm going to treat you as such, and we're going to just learn together. But in order to do that, I do need you to communicate with me. If you miss class and don't say anything, then I'm gonna assume that you just either forgot or blew off the class. So just communicate, just send an email. If you're struggling, whether it's in the content, the technology, or just managing your life, you can share that with me too. And even as a class as a whole, and we can try to help because we're all in this together. All right. And I know that's totally cliche and everyone's been saying that in 2020, but it's true. So, okay. So I hope this wasn't too long-winded. I can get a little rambly, but I'm really looking forward to this class and to meeting all of you and to helping you on your journey and learning how to deal with SQL and databases and all this good stuff. All right. See you in class.